Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my cowabunga friend Frank. How are you today?
Kind of tipping your hand there. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Kind of tipping my hand. I mean, it's not going to fall off the table.
It's a metaphor. Never mind. It's fine.
It's a metaphor. That's from 30 Rock, right? It's a metaphor.
I'm not sure, to be honest. You kind of lost me now.
Shoot. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Why don't you tell me what you're drinking for beer?
I am drinking a Samuel Adams Octoberfest because you should not drink expired beer, Frank. And mine's about to expire because October is behind us, November is in front of us, and
I mean, you know, it's November now. We're a couple days in.
Can't believe how fast these months go by, Frank.
Isn't it nuts? It was just Halloween just flew right by us, and
you know, when you're a kid, like time means like you could an hour in the car might as well be 2 weeks.
Oh my God, yes.
Right? It takes forever to get places and do things. You have no sense of time. It's crazy. And then I guess you just get more used to time, so it ends up flying by. And so I guess being busy, you're not as busy as a kid or something. I don't know what it is, but
I can tell you partly crazy. What it is. The younger you are, your brain is, and I'm gonna totally, if there's any like neuroscientists listening, they're gonna laugh at me, but I'm aware of simplifying it. Your brain is making lots of connections and lots of memories, so there's less space between each memory and every connection your brain is making involuntarily. So it feels like, because you're making so many mental connections and synapses are firing, it feels like, oh my God, has it been like 2 weeks? It feels like, but it's only been an hour. And the older you get, you make fewer and fewer memories and fewer connections. And so the gap between them gets longer. And so it feels like time is going by faster because you're not making as many mental connections in your brain as you used to when you were younger.
Wow, that is so poetic and so sad in some ways, right? That like you're not making as many connections or memories the older you get. That is so sad.
Just not as many things are necessary. The older you get, your brain starts to prioritize things that are necessary for survival and things that aren't. And it just you're not learning as fast a rate as you were when you were younger.
Wow, that's crazy.
And that's why it's so important to like be a lifelong learner and to do things that keep your, good for your neuroplasticity, puzzles and things that are good for your brain that keep you sharp, because the more you do, the more that it keeps your brain active.
That's right.
Again, way oversimplifying it, but that's sort of the...
No, that's I like oversimplified science. Thank you. Yeah, that's because that's what they say, like staring at the TV or whatever does not help your neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
So that's, fighting. There's a recent study done, like fighting Alzheimer's a lot of times comes right down to working.
Yes.
Because if you're working and you're doing something that stretches your brain, you probably won't, not probably, but you'll have a better chance of fighting off Alzheimer's because your brain is in a state of mush.
Right. And there's like a nature versus nurture thing to it too. Some people just like, if they have Alzheimer's, like their brain is going to...
That's right.
It just could, the rate is going to...
That's right.
But there are I don't know if there's studies that show, but at least anecdotally, I can say, like, I think we've all experienced the thing of like an older parent or relative or, just an older person, seems really sharp, and then they retire, and with all this time on their hands, it suddenly seems like they're not as quick, their mind is not as quick as it used to be when they were still part of the workforce. And you're right. It's because they're not using certain parts of their brain the way they used to, and it sort of starts to atrophy, kind of like a muscle does.
Well, you know what muscle doesn't atrophy, Frank, is my geek muscle. You know, some of the things that I just, you love when you're a kid, you just continue to love. Yeah. Because we certainly live in an age where it's okay to like the things from your childhood.
That's
in fact,
true.
A lot of times it's encouraged. If you think about adults in the 1950s, like how many of them were like, oh, I still love playing, cowboys and Indians or knights and princesses or whatever, whatever kids did in the 50s. Apart from sports, really, which is the thing that kind of like, you can like it as an adult as you did as a kid. That's okay. Like, you didn't have to give up sports, but you had to give up your love of, model airplanes or Star Wars or, anything, or Star Trek or superheroes or whatever. You had to give all that up. You weren't allowed to like it anymore.
Put away childish things.
That's right. But sports is okay.
But sports
is okay. So, but now we live in an age where it's encouraged that you should hold on to those things, because
as long
those
as
things
you're buying a movie ticket.
That's right, because those things make money and they infuse the economy and business and like all creativity and all these adult things, but you're allowed to like them. And one of those things for me is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Ah, yes.
Which you did not grow up on.
No, I didn't really. I was just a couple of years too late for it, and never got into it, and just wasn't really exposed to it very much. I had an older cousin who was like the closest thing I had to an older brother, and he was really into it when he was a kid. And so I had some sort of residual, exposure to it from that. But no, I never really got into it. But you were very into it at a certain age.
I was my brother and I were both very into Ninja Turtles. We were at the exact right age to watch the original cartoon from the 80s. And then grow up with the movies from the 90s, whatever else. So, Frank, allow me to sit here and hit you with my best shot.
Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot?
All right, let's do this.
We are so here for Ninja Turtles. Now, we haven't done a Hit Me With Your Best Shot in a while, so there's a lot of ways for me to cover Ninja Turtles. So let me start with all of them. So... No, I'm not gonna do all of it. So a little background information for those people who don't know, and you can come along for this ride because I know you know some of it. Ninja Turtles was created in the Boston area. Fun fact, bet you didn't know that.
I did not.
But there you go. So created in the Boston area, in kind of like a real indie, self-published style way. Eastman and Laird, I think. It's definitely Kevin Eastman, and I can't remember the other dude's name.
Okay.
Something Laird, I think. Anyway, they were into comic books in the 80s, especially into Frank Miller's run on Daredevil, Marvel Comics Daredevil. And, which was all very ninja-based and dark and gritty and, like that real grunge 1980s New York, all that, that kind of thing. When Hell's Kitchen was really hell and not like Hell's Kitchen. Let me go get some like fancy nachos or whatever that you do in Hell's Kitchen. So they themselves made this and self-published this comic book, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is just a parody on Daredevil. Because Daredevil as a kid is hit by a mutagen kind of toxic waste kind of thing, and that turns him blind and gives him senses and all that stuff. And so the Ninja Turtles are basically these 4 turtles that end up in slime in this ooze and then grow up to be, and a rat, and then grow up to be ninjas and fight they fight the Foot Clan instead of the Hand, and they're trained by the mutagenetic rat named Splinter, who is a parody on the man who trains Daredevil, whose name is Stick. All the stuff over and over again. The original comics are kind of like, they're dark and gritty, just like the run on Daredevil. And then And then the licensing rights got sold to a toy company, and that toy company was like, we can make bank on this if we make a cartoon. So they made a whole bunch of toys and then made a cartoon, which is the one that I grew up on, based on those toys. So, which is, that like, here's the blimp, here's the car, here's the jet ski, here's this version, and this version, and this version, and this version, and all of that stuff. And that's where it just skyrocketed. And that leads you to the movie from 1990 and then 1991. And here is, I'm going to talk, I just watched these movies yesterday, so I am going to, as of recording this, so I am going to tell you why you should watch these movies. Are you ready?
Yes.
This is the angle I'm taking it from. The Ninja Turtles, the Ninja Turtle costumes in the 1990 and 1991 films, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, were created by the Jim Henson Company.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And he died between Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and its sequel. And the sequel is dedicated to Jim Henson.
Oh, wow.
And so I think you should watch them to honor Jim Henson and his creations.
Wow, way to guilt me into this. You would be dishonoring the memory of
dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow.
You would be pissing on the grave of Jim Henson if you did not watch these movies.
That is correct. That's how I feel.
Wow.
Because they are really speaking. I mean, I love the Ninja Turtles and I can watch them like at any point and be entertained by them. Objectively speaking, the movies are good. They're not great. They're pretty fun, but they're not like master classes in filmmaking, or anything like that. But those 4 suits in those movies are an incredible piece of animatronic work. Like they are not stunted. They had like real fighters in those suits.
Yep.
Like really doing some really impressive martial arts in these really heavy foam suits, and the heads are controlled, puppet style, animatronically style, via the Jim Henson Company, as you would for Dark Crystal or Labyrinth or any of that stuff. And so I think you should watch them even just purely on that basis.
I was always impressed by that, right? I have not seen the films, but I have seen clips and stuff. In fact, I'm gonna put the trailer, if I can find the trailers for both films. I will put a link in the show notes so people can appreciate what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think I have always been a fan of the second one more than the first one.
Okay,
I don't know why it's a little. The first one is kind of this mix of the show and the kind of a mix of the show and a mix of the original comic. So it has that real like dirty taxi driver New York in it.
Okay.
Which is cool. The second one leans into the kid side of things a little bit. Actually, so much so that in the second film, they weren't allowed to use their weapons. They could carry them, but they couldn't actually hit people with them, except for Donatello, because he just has the bow staff. He just has a big stick. So it's a non-lethal weapon. So he was the only one that could really use their weapon. So if you watch the movie, nobody hits one another with their weapons. They only carry them.
Huh.
It's crazy. The first one, they're like definitely hurting people, if not killing them.
But in the second one, they have weapons, but they can't use them except for Dawn.
The studio would not allow the Turtles, to use their weapons because they would be seen as too violent.
Interesting. If they changed their minds halfway through that, and between 1 and 2.
Well, the film was successful. It's not successful critically. I mean, of course not. But the film was successful enough to merit a sequel within a year, because the first one was pumped out in 90. The second one came out in 91.
So that says to me that they were worried that the
turtle train
would wear off.
Mm-hmm.
Turtlemania, right? Turtlemania would go away, and they were just like, crank out another one real quick while we can.
I mean, it kind of did, because we're not that far apart in age.
Right. That's true, yeah.
We're not that, and you didn't grow up on Turtles, and I did. We're at a very minimal gap of time because there was another show that came out in the 90s that was Ninja Turtles, and then a movie, and then like a live action television show, and there's been Turtle stuff since the 80s onward. You just sit in a very small gap of time in which there was no Ninja Turtles.
That is exactly right. It was a very, very small gap of time where I would say that the age where you would expect it, because that first series lasted, I think that first series was still on probably well into my childhood, but by the time I was kind of old enough to catch on to it, the show was winding down. It's probably a little bit old hat, and then not Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers kind of took over as the new hotness.
Yeah, that was exactly the same. Like you picked up with Power Rangers.
Yeah.
But
I barely even got into Power Rangers, but I was the right age. I was more correct age for Power Rangers than I was for Ninja Turtles. I was a couple years too late for Ninja Turtles.
That's so sad. It is sad in its own way. Actually, so the Ninja Turtles in the original comic, it was just black and white. And then when it got colored, they all wore red bandanas.
Wait, the comic was black and white at first?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was
Really?
black and white. Yeah. Imagine trying to tell. So the weapons were the way that you told the Turtles apart.
Oh, wow.
So they go ahead.
And then they all had the same color bandana.
So they all had red colored bandana.
Oh my God.
And it was the toy company that was like, we need to have them have different colors to sell so you can tell them apart because kids are stupid.
To this day, kids are stupid, and to this day, I'm confused about which one is which because I didn't grow up with them, didn't really, I know the names. I know it's Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo.
Right, the Renaissance painters. Yeah,
the Renaissance painters, correct. But I actually have a hard time keeping straight who's who because even the color scheme. If I was the right age and had really paid attention as a kid, I would have it down. But I don't have it down. And to think of having to see it in black and white, I had no idea it was in black and white, and I definitely had no idea that when it was in color, it started out all being red. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? I know. So you just have to do a weapon and color association with the name.
Right.
So nunchucks in orange is Mikey. Swords in blue is Leo. And just kind of go in that line. So interesting. My second piece of kind of, I guess I'm going to get you to watch it. Well, I guess I have 3 ways to get you to watch this. One, you should honor Jim Henson by watching.
You've made that very clear, yes.
Because I think they're spectacular. 4, I have 4 ways of doing this. 2, it's set in New York, and the second one, I think, especially the beginning of the film, is this huge love letter to New York.
Oh.
It's just a big opening sequence of everyone walking around New York and all of these New Yorkers eating pizza.
Oh.
And it's just scene after scene after scene of it's all these different cuts of all these different New Yorkers eating pizza all over the place. It's hilarious, and it's like cheese is melting away and like bubbling, and all you want is pizza in the first minute of this movie. It's great. The third way of getting you to watch it, they're only an hour and a half a piece.
Oh, okay.
They're a breeze. I think they're even less than an hour and a half. They come in a couple of minutes under, and that includes the credits. They zip by like nobody's business.
Are they? So they're 1990 and 1991. Do they feel like 80s movies?
Yes, they do.
That's another point in their favor.
Yeah, I think the first one especially feels like an 80s movie. It's like big hair and the TVs, the music, people were rocking on boom boxes. Vanilla Ice is in the second one.
Oh my God, really?
There's a Go Ninja Go rap. Like they lean.
Oh, that's right. I knew that.
Yeah,
yes,
Go Ninja, Go Ninja Go. They just lean so heavily into that fun, weird style. And my fourth got to get to watch at least the second one. David Warner, the voice of Ra's al Ghul from Batman the Animated Series.
Oh wow,
is in the movie. He's a scientist in the movie, and he's in the whole movie. He's not like a bit part or anything.
Really?
Yeah, he's great. Because I remember when as a kid, I was like, that sounds like the Doctor. from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So anyway, so I know it's not really, I guess, your thing. I mean, because you like think like, ninjas, that's really not my thing. It's really more on the science. It's more about the family and the jokes. So if you like, you like that stuff about, you're like me. Your favorite superhero stuff are the ones where you see the heroes kind of like having fun or joking around with one another,
right?
Like being friends, being a family. And if they go and fight people and whatever, that's fine too. That's fun. But that's ultimately not like the best part of those stories because you've attached yourself to them not just as, action adventurers, but as people, right? And so you like them because you like their personalities.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And each turtle, kind of like almost like watching Friends or whatever, like each turtle has that personality that you can attach yourself to. Are you,
right,
stoic and like, do you have leadership qualities? Are you a jokester? Are you a geek? Are you angry are you angry and angsty and all that kind of thing? There's something for everybody in just the makeup of those four. Go ahead.
Who's who? Which all the qualities you just described.
So Leonardo is the stoic kind of leader. Like he's almost like that Superman figure. Like got to do the right thing. I got to make sure everybody's okay. Maybe I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to try because that's the thing to do. That's the best the thing you have to be. Raphael is the angry, angsty one, I'm out of here. I'm 15. I'm a Ninja Turtle. I'm out of here. I can't listen to you. Yes, he's the Anakin of the group. Yes, that is correct. Donatello is the geek of the group. He's always, I'm going to make sure this works. I'm going to fiddle with this thing. I'm going to make sure that, but he's also that, I'm not afraid to like stand up and do karaoke kind of geek. Actually, Donatello's a lot like you now that I think about it.
I was going to say, it sounds a lot like me.
Yeah. Like I'll joke around with the best of them, but I'm also very happy fiddling with my tools or whatever. And then Michelangelo is the big jokester of the group. Not, never take any situation too seriously just because, it's better to smile than to cry. That kind of.
I'm kind of getting Fantastic Four vibes.
A little bit, yeah. I guess the Fantastic Four, in a lot of ways, is that. I guess
similar archetypes, maybe broken down a little bit differently, but sort of similar. Yep. You've got Johnny is a jokester, and Reed is like the serious scientist inventor one, and you've got I don't know. I feel like there's something there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you nailed those two, but then. The thing
it falls off with Sue and Ben, but yeah,
it falls off with Sue and Ben. But you're close. It has that like there's something for everybody. There's somebody in there for everybody.
Yeah,
I think like I'll give you an info. In the second one, Raphael gets captured at one point, and they like then the rest of the turtles go into like hunt around. They're like, I think this is a trap. It's a little too quiet. Yeah, it's a little too quiet. Yeah, it's a little too quiet. And then they see Raph tied up. And then like, look, there's Raph. And Mikey goes, yeah, a little too Raph.
Stupid. I love
it's
that.
It's stupid. It's a great joke. But, April's getting getting a knot massaged out of her shoulder at one point in the first film, and Mikey comes in, they're like, oh, do you want some like oil? And he's like, nah, and he pulls out a bottle of turtle wax, and he's like, I'm good. It's real stupid stuff like that, but it's good fun. Sam Rockwell is in the first one.
Wait, what? You buried the friggin' lead.
I know. I was kind of waiting to see how lukewarm you were being at first. He's not in it a lot, but he has a few lines. He does, and it's definitely Sam Rockwell. There's no question about it. Yeah, this
must have been a pretty early role for him, though.
Super early. He is like so the first one is basically Shredder basically kind of takes in homeless kids, and then Shredder the villain. I don't know how much you know about Ninja Turtles.
I know nothing.
So Shredder is their main villain, and he kind of takes in these homeless kids and like gets them to steal for him and whatever, and as they like grow in their skill, they become members of the Foot Clan and so but Sam Rockwell is one of those kids, so he's maybe 15, 16, maybe 17 if you push it. I'd say about 17. He kind of looks like, oh shoot, what's that? Can't remember his name now. Ethan Hawke. Kind of looks like Ethan Hawke. It's pretty weird.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what it is. So I would encourage you to spend, like, if you have an hour and a half and you're just like, whatever, I don't care. They're pretty fun. I personally like the second one more than the first one. People would disagree with me. It's a bit of a hot take. I think the first one's a little bit more. I think the first one's a little bit more fun, and it may not. And the action's pretty good in it. I mean, they're dudes in suits, so
right.
You know, they can only do so much. But the fact that they can like jump and do a foot, like they can move better than Michael Keaton could move in all of his Batman movies.
Okay.
Arguably better than any Batman can move in any Batman movie outside of Batman v Superman.
I remember as a kid, again, seeing, I don't know if I saw part of one of them on TV or just having seen the trailers or what, I don't know, but I know, I definitely know what they look like and how they move, and I feel like their mouths are very articulate, right? And they're it wasn't like most sort of animatronic or you know, suit based things of the 90s. I feel like there was a little bit more movement there, a little more realism in the way that they moved.
I would put it on par. I think this is also Jim Henson Company. I'd put it on par with Dinosaurs, that show I think it was on ABC, like the dinosaur sitcom. It was like the Flintstones, but they were dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
I would. Wow, I'm pretty sure it's the same tech. I think that show came on a little bit later, but I'm pretty sure it was Jim Henson Company, and it was the same. It's the same idea.
How does it compare with like the Nemoidians in Phantom Menace?
Honestly, I think they're more expressive than the Nemoidians.
Okay, that was my very dim memory. Was them being more expressive than the Nemoidians, but
that's a great comparison.
Like, the lip sync is bad too. You know, like
awful. It's awful.
Yeah.
They just flap their mouth.
Exactly. It doesn't match up with what they're saying.
No, and I think I think any animatronic falls apart that way if you're staring at the mouth.
Yeah.
It's not really going to work. But I think the turtles are able to express themselves that it doesn't look like they're not, like they're saying the lines. It may not, you know, look exactly like that, but the Nemoidians are just moving like it's like a sock puppet, right? It just like flops like that.
Yeah.
This is a great comparison. I'm literally in the middle of watching Phantom Menace, so that's a great.
Oh, nice.
It was a great comparison.
I just listened to that podcast that you recommended to me, where these two guys
Blank Check.
Blank Check. They talked about. I just finished it the other day. They talk about Phantom Menace in isolation, as if it was just a movie that came out in 1999. Without being part of a series. And it was a very interesting premise of like, let's just limit ourselves so we can only talk about this movie on its own. And it was very, I'll put this in the show notes too. It's a really interesting episode of a show. Yeah, it was good.
I enjoyed it. I think that's what made me go back and watch it. Also, I was kind of in a Star Wars mood, you know, so
fair.
I was ready to go back and watch it. So, Frank, I guess my big question for you now is, did I give it my best shot?
You did a good job with this. I'll be honest. Yeah, I am. You've definitely piqued my interest, and I want to check it out.
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, I love the Ninja Turtles. I watched that show growing up. I would not go back and watch the 80s cartoon. It's probably not well made. End of story. You know, the show, there was a show just on Nickelodeon, an animated version on Nickelodeon that was pretty fun. That was pretty successful. There's a new one that just started. They're doing now. So it has life in it. It's going to keep going. But I think your particular interests are best suited in, like, I wouldn't sit here and say, well, you should probably watch the two new movies that just came out. I wouldn't say that to you. That's not, they're fine. They're not really good or bad. They're just movies.
Did Michael Bay make those?
He produced them. Yeah. Okay. The second one is a little better. It's a little bit more fun, but it definitely just feels like, you know, they're big and they're a little bit more monsterish, I guess. Like they're they're kind of hulking and their size doesn't feel.
Yeah, I remember them looking. This is this the one that was called TMNT?
No, so TMNT is actually a standalone animated film, which actually has Chris Evans in it. He is the voice of Casey Jones, actually. And Chris Evans is in it. Sarah Michelle Gellar's in that one. Patrick Stewart, Nolan North. That was an animated one. It's good, actually. The movie's good. It I don't know why. Actually, don't know why it didn't really go anywhere. Because it's a well-made movie.
Kevin Smith, Patrick Stewart. Wow, Lawrence Fishburne. Narrated by Lawrence Fishburne. Huh.
Yeah, it has a good cast.
It does.
And the actors that voice the turtles are like tried and true professional voice actors. They're not, like we got the celebrity name. Like they're
Kevin Michael Richardson.
Right, exactly.
Huh.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a long time, but
James Arnold Taylor is Leonardo. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the one you should watch then.
That might be. Wow. Okay, Sarah Michelle Gellar is April O'Neil. That makes sense.
Yeah, maybe this is the one that you should watch. I have not seen it in a long time. I should watch it, actually. But, honestly, Franco, we could, if you want to watch it, we could report back. I'm totally fine with that. Yeah,
we'll see. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm leaning more towards watching one of the ones you're talking about. But I am, if I like those, if I like my sort of introduction into the franchise, maybe I'll check out TMNT next.
Yeah.
And then the Megan Fox ones are the Michael
those are the Michael Bay ones. Yeah, they're movies. The second one was fun. I recall it being kind of fun. Actually, Brad Garrett is a voice in the
nice
second one. He plays Krang, which is an alien-like thing, which is not in the original films.
Okay.
But so you have a range of options, stuff to check out. But I think for you, as a fan of Jim Henson, a lover of New York, 80s films, they're not movies that are less than an hour and a half. Good jokes, David Warner, pizza. I think that
all things I love,
all things you love. I think there's a real fun quality to the first two that I think you'll appreciate. That
you said the second one is your favorite of the two.
I like the second one more. The first one's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's kind of draggy in the middle, but besides that,
okay.
Yeah.
My question is, if I only have time to sample one of them, should I watch the first one because it's a more complete, self-contained story, or should I watch the second one because, in your opinion, it's the more fun one or the better one?
It's a great question. So they're technically not self-contained. The second one is a sequel, and it basically picks up like a day or two after the events of the first one.
Okay.
But because it's a children's movie, they do a really nice job at recapping everything. I would probably still say watch the first one.
Okay.
Because I don't know. Actually, it's a great question. I would coin toss, honestly, because I think the second one tells you all you basically need to know about the Ninja Turtles, but I just think I think the movie's more fun. I don't think you'd be missing anything by skipping the first one, except the end. Actually, so can I recommend, if you only have time for one, I think if you can find it on YouTube, watch like the last 10 minutes of the first one.
Okay.
And then watch the second one.
All right.
Because that way you get an introduction of like, okay, this is who the Shredder is, and this is the Ninja Turtles, and them like actually fighting, and then it will roll, and then who Splinter is and stuff like, and then it will roll into the second one.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, this was fun, Frank. I'm glad that we did this.
This was good.
I might go watch TMNT right now. Actually,
nice, fun, fun. Yeah, this is the thing I needed. This is the thing I needed for my geek education. I feel like this is an area that I've been lacking in for a while, so I need to pick up. Hey, I realized I never told you my beer. So before we close out,
sure,
I'll bookend by telling you I got distracted because we were talking about your Octoberfest and all that. But I've been drinking this very interesting Mosaic Pale Ale, the Mosaic hops.
Okay.
It's called Cacophony, a Cacophony Mosaic Pale Ale.
Is it Cacophony or Cacophony?
Cacophony. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Cacophony.
Okay.
From Campanology Brewing Company.
Campanology,
Campanology, as in camp, like bell, like camp.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Campanelle.
super cool can.
Very cool can here. Yeah,
Cacophony.
Cacophony Mosaic Pale Ale. Very, very good. I've been enjoying it this whole episode, and I've never heard of this brewery before, but I got a couple of beers from them that I just picked up yesterday, and this is the first time I'm drinking, and I'm really liking it. So
That's awesome.
Anyway,
I love it.
cap it off by saying that. But why don't you tell people where they can find us on the internet, Tim?
They can find us at thoughtbubbleaudio.com, where they can check out other Thought Bubble Audio shows. They can rate and review us on iTunes and find us on Spotify, Google Play, and Overcast. And they, of course, can find us on Facebook, Gmail, and Twitter at Beer with Geeks. You can find Frank personally at Frank Ramblings or myself at Timothy PG13. Tell us, what is your favorite version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? It's the best song in the world. Teenage and a Half Shell, Turtle Power. Anyway.
Turtlemania.
Stephen Amell is in the newest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
I knew that. Yeah, I remember that. The most recent, Megan Fox one, right?
Mm-hmm, that is correct.
Yeah. I remember
Jones.
him. I remember when he was. Oh, he's Casey Jones. Okay.
Yeah. And Elias Coates, is that his name? Is that how you say his name?
I don't know who that is.
Coates. Coates. Elias Coates.
Sure.
Coates.
I don't know.
Anyway, he's in the first one. He's pretty famous. Anyway, doesn't matter. But Frank, this has been super fun.
Yes,
check
it
out,
has.
Check out Ninja Turtles. I'll be asking you, perhaps in a public setting.
There'll be a quiz.
Well, name the Ninja Turtles and their colors. Oh, God. All right. Well, then, until next time, cheers.
Cowabunga.